Hey guys, today we have a war with Doom, Mr. Fantastic, and Tigra again. So first up, we have this Killmonger on Node 5. This is just a really slow fight, but it's quite easy. You're gonna get a lot of power with Power Struggle, and you're just gonna be able to keep really easy control of Strike Counter. So yeah, there's basically no risk here. He can't crit you. It's really easy to avoid him gaining Furies using Doom. Um, Very safe fight, you know. Just keep control of those Furies, and you basically won the fight. And it's really easy to keep control of them. And yeah, it's very slow, and you'll probably take a lot of block damage, at least if you're playing the way I play this fight. But it's not really any risk. So yeah, you're just throwing these special ones and doing your combos, and there's no risk of timing out. Because of 5 minute timers, another 5 minute and 30 seconds. It's like a 2 minute 30 second fight, I think. So pretty slow, but he's a fantastic counter to this, of course, because it's Doom versus Killmonger. And yeah, this one's on Power Struggle, which makes it so you can't really get special twos, which is why this is so slow. Because normally your damage against Killmonger will come from the special twos, because he has crit resist, so those incinerates do the vast majority of your damage in this matchup. But since we're not going to have any special twos, our damage is going to be pretty low. Not low enough to matter, but it's going to be low. Yeah. Just continuing the same strategy over and over. It's a very long and boring fight. But he's, again, just good counter to it. I don't really know what else I can add to this fight. I think near the end we do actually end up getting a special too, like really late in this fight, because we mess with doing Power Struggle cheese, which does work well when you can actually get it to work. Like when you can get the Power Struggle cheese going with your lights and everything, you can get that special too. The reason I mostly don't do it here is because there's just no reason to. Um, for something like a Mangog, I tend to go for the Power Struggle cheese because it's a bit easier against a Mangog, but yeah. Here we go for it, and we get our L2. And the fight ends with this L2, and you see how much quicker the fight is when you're throwing L2s and whatnot. But yeah, very good counter, easy fight. Next up, we have a Terrax on 14. So our strat is to try and keep our armor break up for the L2s. And I ran out of those compensation potions, which is crazy. I just go and claim another compensation. But yeah. So for this fight, we have a Mystic Power Boost. We're popping a PS1 for both of these fights, and the Mystic Power back for both of these fights, of course. And yeah. And we want to throw L2s, and that's pretty much it. Throw your L2s. Hopefully some of your L2 hits will crit. If not, it'll be slightly slower, but there's no risk of dying, even if you threw L1s the whole fight and took it really, really, really slow. Doom is still not going to have any risk of dying to the rock shields, even with just basic hits and everything. You just need to keep control of those Furies, and that's the main worry. So here, my L2 gave me a little over a bar back, so we're back where we started, basically. So that's a really good position to be in. And here, I do actually try to control rock shield mostly. Um, just decided that. And here, the armor break falls off, so we get a little bit less than a bar back, because we took it just a little bit too slow. But the fight is basically over, so I wasn't worried about losing my L2s. And we do this, and the combo kills. If the combo didn't kill, we would have thrown our L1, and the L1 would have killed. So yeah. And then we have this man thing. You guys have seen me do this. I think this was the third time now. It's a really easy fight with Doom. Yeah. Just making sure my PS1 is still on, and yeah, we're gonna go for two L3s again, and then an L2. And yeah, this one, I felt I played pretty soppy strategy-wise during this fight. Looking back, I didn't play nearly as bad as it felt while I was doing this fight. I felt like I completely screwed it up, but looking back, I made some small errors that I was overthinking during this fight. And yeah, we throw this during the unstoppable, so they will be stun immune after this L3. Not a big deal. The stun from your L3 does not matter on a fight like this. But why I did this was because we're gonna get that Mystic Dispersion power now. So, we're gonna get back to our second L3 even quicker than normal. And yeah, here we do this. This is the big mistake of this fight, but he didn't nullify the Fury, so it doesn't matter. And we took barely any damage from eating a combo, because of course he didn't have any strike counter Furies built up. We still have way more than enough health to win the fight, and the fight is practically over already, so, eating that combo didn't really matter. Now we just need to get some Mystic Dispersion power, and we'll be able to end the fight. And there we go. You see, we actually go to his second L2 and get off 2 L2s, which is kind of nice. Doesn't really matter because the fight was ending either way, but yeah. Pretty easy fight. Now we have an Annihilus on Mixmaster. This is another Mystic Dispersion 5 and Powerback Cheese fight. Don't really get this placement, but, I mean, we'll take it, I guess. Yeah. We're just going to use Doom and Mystic Dispersion 5 and Powerback Cheese the whole way through, and it'll end quite quickly. UA and all of Annihilus's buffs means there's going to be a lot of power you're getting here. Due to the Reed synergy, you can do that and immediately get all that power, because you don't have to use your stagger on the rod. You can use your armor break to get rid of the rod instead, which just makes the nullifying process go a little bit quicker, which is nice. And yeah, there's really no risk of dying here. Even if you mess up the fight completely, you're probably gonna get a solo, because Doom is stupid. But yeah, we get our first L3 off, getting ready to go to our second L3, and yeah, he gets his rod back here, and at that point, we have won the fight. And now he has 2 Furies when I go into the second L3, so I note in my head that I'm going to get a lot of power back, because I also have 2 Furies giving my L3 even more damage. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to get a lot of power after this L3, so I just made sure I was prepared for that. And I check his timer for the Cosmic Rod. I notice it's still down, and yeah, this kills. And yeah, next up we have a Spite Iron Man Infinity War. Another fight taking advantage of those Mystic Power boosts, but this time it's an L1 and L2 rotation. Oddly enough, I haven't been doing this rotation much recently. It used to be one of my more common fight rotations. And it's very effective, as you'll see here, but I just hadn't felt the need to do this recently. So yeah. The main issue here is the, sort of kinetic transference-like node. When you knock him down, he'll basically have a pseudo-kinetic transference where he hits your block, he gets power. And why this is an issue here is because he has, double, hits you gotta parry. You have to parry. To get a parry, you have to block 2 hits instead of the normal 1 hit, so it just makes it a little bit more annoying to get openings, because you're either gonna have to, like, intercept or go in some special way, or just give Iron Man Infinity War some more power. Not a huge deal, of course. And first L2, we get it with the armor break up and no armors, so we get a lot of power back there. Those Incinerates are doing a lot of damage. Another thing, the Reed synergy boosts your Incinerate damage. So they're doing even more damage than normal, which is quite nice on a matchup like this where almost all of your damage is Incinerate damage. And I want to make sure I have Aura of Hazareth up for my last L2. Just because he's going to go into that last 18%. And yeah. It doesn't end up lining up where I'm going to have Aura of Hazareth up for it. So yeah, I just throw it here. He gets an armor up, kind of sucks, but we end up getting crits anyway, which is quite lucky. But yeah, the fight's over, so I wasn't worried about it. I was like, okay, this fight's going to be over anyway. And yeah, then we have a Guardian. Really easy fight. Doom cycle into a single L3 and then an L2, and the fight is over. really easy fight. Not much I can give specifics here. When you're ready to go into your Doom cycle, you can block his specials to get him to higher power faster. And yeah, that's the only thing really special about this. You're shock immune, so you can't take any damage from Guardian's crit thing where he does shock damage to you in those crits. And I don't know why I dexed out of that L1. Kind of dumb to dex out of it. But whatever. We're at our L3 now. And yeah, the fight's over, effectively. It's really silly how fights are just effectively over the second you get to an L3 with Doom a lot of the time. And yeah. Not much I can add anymore. The armor up gets staggered, but this is an unduped one, so the armor up wouldn't have made even the slightest difference. And yeah, and then we have a Mangog on 48. I was about to say 54, but no, it's on 48 this time. And the special thing about this Mangog is return policy. And all the buffs he gets, which is meant to discourage Doom from being here. From working here. You know, the idea is maybe return policy will stop it. We use a Read Petrify. It's not completely necessary, but if you have a Read Petrify available, it makes it a little bit easier to keep this fight under control. And it's an unduped Mangog, so the hatred charges won't matter. You won't get extra damage from them. And yeah, it's a fairly simple fight if you know how to Doom cycle against return policy. And the buffs are fairly predictable here, so, you know. It's not the biggest deal. He has two sources of buffs, the Vigilance and the Armors from UA, and it's fairly easy to keep both under control. And now we're going to wait this out. We got him low enough on power that he's not going to get to an L2. Not that it mattered. If he did, we would just block it, and it wouldn't do enough damage to hurt. And he triggers Unstoppable here, and we're just going to bait another heavy and go into our L3 cycle, and yeah, the fight is basically over at this point. There's not much you can do to mess this up. I have an invuln on, so I'm free to eat L3s and whatnot. And yeah, but we've basically won at this point. We're going to do shorten combos, so we can get the full power drain back from, against Mangog, because he doesn't get the normal power rate that champions normally would, so you have to do shorten combos, after your L3s to be able to Doom cycle, and you have to use a Mystic Power Boost to make that work. Which is the main trick when dooming Mangog, is to use that Mystic Power Boost and do those shorten combos. But if you know how to do that, Doom versus Mangog, really easy. We're going to throw our L2 here. And yeah. Easy fight, you know? Next up, we have a Tigra versus Skrull on 54. And I actually missed something in this placement. So the reason this is placed is Aspect of Evolution. Which counters Tigra, and I did not know this. But yeah, it made it so this Skrull could actually trigger its armor buffs, and after I realized that, I panicked and changed my original strategy of just taking this fight slow, and when I panicked, I started to play really, really poorly with Tigra, and you'll see what I mean. It's very bad Tigra play. Yeah. But yeah, we're baiting this L1. I'm not worried about that UA triggering that one time, because that will give us some extra power, so it's practically a good thing. Probably should have dexed that L1 so he didn't get that Fury buff, but not a big deal. And then I noticed he just triggered an armor up, and I'm like, fuck. And at this moment, I thought I died here. I thought at this moment I was about to die. So I'm just trying my best to get as much damage, and I didn't have the spacing to do the counter after the L1, so this was a mistake. A pretty big one at that, and yeah, we're just trying to get off as much damage as possible, because I'm in panic mode completely, and yeah, this was a mistake as well, countering his heavy. I suck at countering his heavy. I don't know why I'm so bad at it, but yeah, we had a bar of power, so it's not a big deal. And yeah, we pushed this in the corner, throwing that L1 into the block. A little bit of a mistake, because he could have triggered an armor from UA, so I just made 3 mistakes in a row. But yeah, not the biggest of deals, because then we get to our L2, and I'm like, okay, hopefully this L2 does some damage. And it actually does pretty good damage, even without having, like, any ruptures up. And At this point, I'm like, okay, maybe I can actually win this fight. Throw another L1, and we win. Or I win in a little bit. Yeah, we won the fight, thankfully, and we won this lore, and now we got top 10 secured.